Good afternoon, hello, welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Welcome to another day of triathlon training. Out for a lunchtime run today. Mark and I are out. Hi Mark. Thanks to Mark for kicking my backside to get us out. Get us both going together, just motivates both to actually get up from the desk and get out and do it. Mark's still struggling with a cold, so he's just taking it easy. Today's video is going to be mostly about my club mate Lewis, who's coming around to do a ramp test, so stay tuned for that. But I just want to reflect on, I listened to a podcast a few days ago. It was Kim Morrison, the pro triathlete, and she was talking about she doesn't really find running natural, she doesn't really enjoy it, but every time she's running she's thinking about the event she's doing, and she's just thinking every run is for that event. And I'm taking that on board now, thinking every run is Ironman Wales next year is basically what it is. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, I'll put the stats on screen. It'll be 5 miles. My legs are tired, legs are heavy, but this is all I'm doing today. Having a little mini tiny taper into Outlaw Half Bowood this weekend, where I'm now only doing the bike leg. More on that later. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Okay, good evening. Welcome to the channel, Lewis.
Hello.
You might have seen Lewis on a few club rides. Lewis is somebody who's relatively new to cycling. You've been cycling for a little while now, but compared to some people in our club and locally, it's nothing, is it really?
No, not really.
Lewis has got history in motocross riding, so he actually came and did a crit race with us earlier this year and was absolutely at home, in a bunch, bumping elbows, closing gaps, etc. But I'm sure you'll admit you don't do a great deal of training.
Not as much as I should.
No, so the plan for this winter is that Lewis is going to put pen to paper and ask to saddle and get some fitness there. He's already quite strong, so I'm a bit worried to make him any fitter. But Lewis has just bought a power meter. I don't want to claim that I'm an influencer because Favero still won't partner with me. But Lewis bought some Favero Asioma pedals, very good. The weather's bad tonight. We wanted to do some sort of power tests to give Lewis something to go on so we can benchmark his training, do training sessions indoors, pace his rides outdoors, and so on. So we thought we'd do a power test. Now, of course, I'm absolutely scraping the bar for content, so obviously I'm documenting this whole thing on here. Decided different sorts of tests, so we've got the test upon Zwift at the minute. There's many of you may know that there's a 5-minute and 20-minute test, and there's also a ramp test. I know there's different things like 4DP. What else is there? Trainer Road do something else as well. We're using the Zwift ramp test because it rises 20 watts every minute. It's really simple to do. It requires little mental strength to do. You just got to keep pedaling so you can't pedal anymore. And because Lewis has got no idea what his threshold is, to do a 5-minute and 20-minute test without knowing what you're going to do is quite tough. So that's what we're going to do. Does that sound all right?
Sounds good to me.
Good. So, I mean, let's get cracking. I'm loving this. I'm just going to stand to one side and watch Lewis in pain. Anyway, so you've done a little bit of a warm-up. You've had a little bit of carbs, and now you're going to get on the bike. I'm going to get out of the way, and we'll get this started. Let's go. You all right, Liz? Yeah. Chicken jail closed, is it?
Chicken jail is no longer needed.
Yes. Well done, chickens. You're out of chicken jail. Forgot to say, so we actually dual record in power, so we're using Lewis's power pedals to record on his head unit, and then the kicker bike to control the test, and also going to record that data as well, because it's all well and good coming and getting a test result on a kicker bike. He's not training on a kicker bike or riding on a kicker bike, so we're using the numbers from his pedals. They're probably going to be very, very similar anyway, but just want to make sure it's exactly accurate. So yeah, that's the plan, a bit scientific. Lewis is now into his 5-minute free ride, and then it's going to start from 100 watts or so. These things feel really easy until it isn't easy. And so there's only actually probably 5 to 8 minutes or so where you're riding above your threshold. So it's not actually that hard, it just gets very, very hard, then you can't pedal anymore, then you're done, but we'll of course watch this. Right, after a couple of technology glitches, entirely my fault, we are up and away. Lewis is now on 180 watts, and he's just getting to the point where he's starting to like breathe and not just chatting, so I told him to shut up and concentrate on his pedaling, because you don't want to affect the test by having to yabber away to me. You just need to settle into it, focus on his numbers. As I sort of explained, it's not very hard for very long. It gets harder and harder, and you quickly then aren't able to do any more, as we'll see in a minute. You know, you just got to ease into it, settle, try and keep yourself calm, collected, not get too flabbergasted about, oh, it's a power test, max power. Just got to ease into it, it'll get hard, focus, keep driving. We'll shout at him in a few minutes when it gets tough. Let's do it. I've also got the lads running a sweepstake in the group chat as to what they think his estimated threshold will be, so that's fun. Keep digging! Go on, give it a roll! Up, 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 up! Come on, Lewis! Absolutely smashing it! Bring everything out! Absolutely everything! You can find that extra little bit, come on! Push, push, push! This is it, good work, come on! Absolutely everything you've got, come on, Lewis! Come on, this is it! Big reach ahead, come on, buddy! Dig push, 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 everything. Go on, up, 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 up. Go on, keep pressing, you still got this. Go on, up, 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 up. Push, 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 go on, Lewis, dig in. Go on, push, push, push. Every second counts, come on. Every second, go on, buddy. Go on, keep pushing, push, push, push. Absolutely everything. Go on, up, 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 up. Go on, you got this minute, you're easy. Go on, push, push, push. Go on, keep working. Go on, up, 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 up. Go on, let's get over the top of this gear. Oh, good work, well done. Absolutely awesome. Well done, buddy. If we're dropping down power now, so you should be able to just spin your legs a little bit. And just stop pedaling. You feel like what?
I feel like I definitely had a bit more.
Okay. It's your first test.
Yeah.
You'll get better at testing the more you do testing. That's awesome. How did that compare to what you thought the ramp test was going to be like?
Wasn't too bad, to be honest, and then just, yeah, went from 0 to 100 like really quick.
Yeah. It's really hard to tell watching you how hard it is. That's why I was trying to get it out of 10. I thought when you get, I don't want to be screaming at you if you're like chilling out. So.
No, I felt pretty good, and then all of a sudden, just, you know, the last 2 minutes were horrific, but just before that was pretty much all right, really.
Yeah. And some of it is mental. You've got to know to keep pushing and keep pushing. So Matt and I have both tested doing this blind. So putting a bit of card over the screen or something so you can't see the numbers.
Yeah.
Because once you've done a couple, you'll know roughly where you got to. And sometimes you get to that bit, you go a bit further, and you're like, oh great, I've done now because I beat the last time.
Yeah.
Okay, ramp test done and dusted. Obviously I haven't done one, look at me. Lewis, how was that?
Good, good. Really, really hard at the end though. Really, really hard.
Yeah. How does that compare to like a flat out club ride?
Okay, to be fair, until the very end. It's probably, well, a bit like a Fast Friday, really, right at the sort of top end of it. But
so how many minutes do you think it was like really hard for?
2 or 3.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
and you done a little warm down, you said you feel okay already.
Yeah.
And I don't think you'll really struggle with too much fatigue afterwards because it's such a relatively short test. Now, in terms of numbers, there's a little bit of a difference between the kicker bike and Lewis's pedal. Remind me to take that off there, give it back. The kicker bike gave an FTP of 288 watts. Lewis's pedal said 281, so a 7 watts difference. That's the difference. That's about 2.4% off the top of my head. I haven't just used a calculator, honest. And that's that's within normal tolerances. So 2% is fine. But obviously Lewis is going to be using his pedal, so he's going to take the 281 number because that's what he's going to retest on. Obviously, he comes back here to do another test. We'll use a kicker bike and use the different number. But it's worthwhile knowing. If he's going for a ride and say he's doing an hour's time trial, he's probably not going to pace it any differently for 7 watts. So it's a small amount. But if it was 20 or 30 watts out, that would affect it. In terms of watts per kilo, Lewis doesn't weigh himself, but he's estimated what he thinks he weighs roughly, and it's about 3.5 watts per kilo, so that is incredible. I'm sure some of you people watching are working towards an FTP that high, so to say you haven't trained power before, I know certainly I worked for years, and James, my coach at RideHarder, might still have this form. At the beginning of the winter, before we did the RideHarder Academy, you put on there what your ambitions are, and I think it was 2017 going into 2018, and I put something like, I want to get a 3 watt per kilo FTP, so to see Lewis just giving it a go for the first time and bashing out 3.5 is excellent. And that then also gives him a real good measurable against people like me and other riders in the club. He knows, okay, what's your FTP? What's your 1 minute, 5 minute power? Gives him targets to aim for, and gives him. And we're talking as well about pacing on climbs. We used an example of we're on a club ride a few weeks ago, and there was me, Lewis, and Richard, and it was about a 5 minute climb. I was riding at what power I knew I could do for 5 minutes, whereas you're hanging on, and you don't know if it's too hard or not. Whereas the power gives you like an absolute definition of you know what you can do, so you can pace it the best. So yeah, there you go. No excuses, no?
No, that's it.
No, well done, buddy. Good work. Thank you for letting me video it as well. Hopefully some of you guys enjoyed it, or at the very least, you weirdos, at the very least get something from that. Let me know if you do much testing. I haven't actually tested since the beginning of this year. However, with the RideHarder Winter Academy soon to start, I'll be testing at the beginning of October, so stay tuned for that. And I think I'll end today's video there. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 PM for, I'm not entirely sure, we're not Fast Friday, no, in the rain.
Probably not.
Okay, all right. You need to. No, probably not. See you tomorrow.